good policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as to strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
It's a beautiful morning and a special welcome to Global Morning. As a matter of fact, we are so glad that everyone is part of this show today. It's a very beautiful day. You know, one thing I tell people all the time is that when you wake up in the morning, you should be grateful to God in spite of what is happening in the society, in spite of whatever the circumstances are around you. But the fact that you are alive, there is this popular saying that when there is life, there is so much hope. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course, as it is right now, we will be going through so many things today. A lot of juicy programs lined up for you today on global television, and this is the Global Morning. But as it is right now, so many things happening in the society as it has to do with the hunger. Apart from the hunger, the fuel scarcity and all of that is something that has been of concern to Nigerians at different quarters. And of course, my colleague is right here. Michael Edian is looking very sharp this morning. I was trying to ask him some questions before we came on. I was like, beginning from the haircut, you know, down to the outfit. I was like, hey, come on, are you preparing for something? Like, yes, I do.
Maybe because the Senate have resumed and I'm expecting the president to send my name to the Senate, maybe.
Oh, your name be sent to the Senate. I think the years have it.
For further
I have stamped it.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Michael.
Thanks so much, Nigerians, for tuning into global television. A lot has happened just as you stated. Just yesterday, the National Assembly resumed from their recess. I mean, it was a long time break from the month of July, that of August, September again, to respond to all of national issue. Just yesterday at the plenary, they received a letter from the president to confirm the Chief Justice of Nigeria in a bid to address the issues of judiciary. So many Nigerians are still counting and looking at the judiciary, most especially now that the election in those states have concluded. Every party, even the INEC, are saying go to court. So the assurances of the people right now is the fact that can we get justice at the court? But I don't know what they mean by justice anywhere, because they got to prove beyond doubt, at the courtroom that they probably, had more votes than what INEC declared.
You know, when you talk about justice from the court, a lot of people think you just go to court and you get justice. That the judgment must always be in your favor.
Beyond doubt.
Beyond every reasonable doubt.
To upturn the declaration. Because, I mean, after INEC had declared election, it's always very difficult to obtain. But in a way, the court, as they said, judiciary is the last hope of a common man. So it's always where we run to seek redress. So we're still counting and putting our eyes right there at the court. And away from that, as the National Assembly resumed, many Nigerians are also looking at other critical issues. What happens to the PIA, the Petroleum Act, where we're still having it difficult, just as we were speaking, prior to the show. We're still having, fuel queues. And then we're asking, if we're buying fuel at high as 1,000 naira, why are we still having queues at the filling station? Why are some filling stations closing down? Why are we not having the product available? We thought as they had increased the price of the petrol, that, the product would be available.
It should be available.
There's another way right now in the country. Many people are still on the queues. As at early this morning, I was just passing through some of the major filling stations that I've noticed that. I mean, the queues are still very long.
So long.
So we don't know how NNPC is going to address this issue, because it's more disturbing, because we can't buy fuel at as high as 1,000 naira, and then we're still having queues at the different places. So Nigerians are also looking at how the National Assembly will respond, invite the NNPC boss, invite all those involved in the petroleum sector, so as to address these issues, and also finalize how we can be able to fix our own refineries and get things to work in the country.
While you were talking about the price of fuel, what was on my mind is you're talking about buying it 1,000 naira in Abuja here. What about that commuter, that man in Akwa Ibom State?
That's my state is, from information I'm gathering, is over 2,000 naira.
2,000 naira, that is for Akwa Ibom State. Then you begin to talk about other states like Kano, Adamawa, the far north, you know, because these people will always tell you the reason why we sell at this rate is because of the cost of transportation, because moving the product from the depot all the way to the northern part is so expensive. But then, if the price of this product is at least considerable from where it is being bought before it's taken to the north or any of the states, it will go a long way helping the people buy at a considerable rate. It is so bad, it's not good at all for you to buy fuel at over 1,000 naira and you still have to queue overnight to get this product. If the product is being sold as high as 1,000 naira plus, as it has to do with other states, then the product should be available. That's what Nigerians are saying. I think one thing that I've even noticed with Nigerians is the fact that no matter the situation, they know how to adjust quickly. Because I think what people are even thinking now is they've said it. No matter what you do, it's going to be what it is. And while you were talking about the Edo State election, there was a proud notice from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party that they should shield any form of protest. It's like there is an information that the PDP is going to be going on protest because they are not in line, in tune with the results that came from INEC. But then there is a better way to seek redress.
It's not a way to go.
That's not the best way to go. To destabilize the activities of the state in form of protest. And you know, in this part of the world, most times this protest is being hijacked by some unscrupulous elements. So you can't say 100% that a peaceful protest is really going to be peaceful. So that is what it is. It is still Global Morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return from this break, it will be time for us to take you through the dailies. The newspaper review will be coming on your way. What's happening from the national dailies? The headlines is what is coming after this break. Thanks for staying with us on Global Morning today. Right now, we're taking you to the major headlines for the day. Like we said earlier, we have a lot of juicy headlines for you today. So what we will be doing is to bring you the big stories and some of the stories. So all you have to do is to pick a copy at the end of the day. But then don't forget that we would also be throwing a little light on some of the stories, and in time, as we get along on the program, our analyst will also be joining us to add his voice to the conversation too. The first point of call is the Daily News Hub. The Daily News Hub newspaper this morning have this headline just beside the nameplate, which says, 5 policemen returning from Edo election killed in Kano. That's pathetic. 5 policemen returning from Edo election killed in Kano. May their gentle soul rest in peace. Then the big story on the Daily News Hub newspaper this morning says, our stand on Edo governorship election. This is coming from the United States government. A lot of people observe this election. Like I said, this election was more like a presidential election, but it's so good that the U.S. is responding now. Then just one writer to that story, and the writer says, poll widely, we are monitoring the situation. That is coming from the U.S. government. And more headlines still coming from the Daily News Hub this morning. This one says, swear with Quran, you know nothing about banditry. Matawale replies Zamfara governor. Okay, then this one says, CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. Mariam Idris wins silver award in 2024 Commonwealth Essay competition. More headlines still coming from the Nigerian News Hub this morning, and the kicker for this story says terrorism. Then the story itself says Justice Nyako rescue recurses serve from Kano's case as IPOB leader says persecution of Igbo stops with me. Then this one says state execution, that's the kicker. Then the main story says Philip Shaibo floors Obaseki, others again as court finds Edo government speaker, Edo governor, beg your pardon, speaker, others 200,000 naira each. Michael, I think this is another one, stay off execution. Philip Shaibu floors Obaseki, others again as court finds Edo governor, speaker, others 200,000 naira each. Moving away from there, Bayelsa hotel owner threatens to drag IGP to court over 625 million naira lodging debt. Okay, IGP to court over 625 million naira lodging debt. How comes it accumulated to that huge amount? Over 4 million Nigerians without job in 2023. This is coming from NBS. For me, this is one situation in the country that every child, everyone in Nigeria is aware of the situation when it has to do with joblessness. A lot of people are very willing to work, and the issue of not having job still drag down the economy of the nation. Let's talk about the fact that a lot of people are actually looking forward. If Nigerians, most Nigerians, they will tell you we prefer federal government job. But then there are so many things.
How many federal government work do we even have?
Do we have? That's a problem.
Every day.
These are the things that people should be thinking about, especially the teeming youth in the society. You should think about how they can acquire skills and don't just depend on the government jobs anymore, because a lot of digital skills are available on the internet, and you can take advantage of the internet to do something that is not a crime. All right, you can do something legitimate.
I mean, you can't really blame them, because when you look at the curriculum we have in the schools, schools. How many curriculums from the secondary school to universities are appreciating, the digitalization era that we are in now. So, in as much as we try to fight unemployment, it's also good that we raise awareness at the educational sector, because we must begin to see how our educational sector must begin to appreciate, the reality on ground. The reality on ground is that the world has gone digital, and there's a need to respond towards that direction. We can't continue to have curriculum of the 1990s or the 1980s still on the curriculum, even the 2000. Things that 2024 has rapidly changed. So we must begin to see how educational sector must respond, to this current trend. So the unemployment is real. In as much as government cannot do all of that alone, the private sectors also have a role to play. But in any sense, there's a need to see how digitalization can drive our educational sector so as to get and curb some of this situation.
That's very vital. I think in most of the advanced countries of the world, what they do is that this craft, these skills start when these students are very small and they grow with it. If the same thing can be inculcated into our curriculum and the educational system, it's going to go a long way, easing the pain of unemployment in our country. All right, still more stories coming from the newspapers this morning. This one says, vigilante gunned down notorious Zamfara bandit leader Kanchala son recover 2 AK-47 rifles, machine gun, and cash. That is coming from the northern part.
Vigilante is this time. I said last week we had confirmation where the security agencies had also gone down one of the bandits. But when you look at vigilante also doing all of this work, so it's also drive home the point that we were saying that there's a need for state policing. There's a need for, because security is local. So people who are residing in this area knows better because they live in this area. They know their routes, so they can be able to combat issues of insecurity. So when you look at vigilante, gunning down some of the bandits in some areas, even the kidnappers, are being attacked by the vigilante. So you understand that these are the people that really have, the information, at the local level. So I think it's also driving the point that there's a need to start considering, the issues of state policing, because in all indications, it looks that that's where we can actually, drive down, the banditry out of our states and also create a safer our states.
I think it's more easier to combat these vigilantes, as many of them that are qualified to even become state police can be incorporated into the system. But then you look at the other side of it. Some person said, the people, the governors, the local government chairmen under whom these people will be directly may want to sabotage the real interest or the real reason for this state policing, and that you can't take away.
Before the sabotage situation, probably we maybe got a state self. So I think that's the first thing that they must begin to do.
All right, thank you. Right. That is wise to say, Michael. That's so wise to say. Maybe before they can even do that. But if the training is actually coming from federal, I think even though it's state policing, maybe the federal may still have to monitor some of the process so that it's not completely hijacked. But then, like Michael said, maybe they may have secure our states and communities before anyone comes to take over that. And finally, from the Daily News Hub this morning, Tinubu seeks Senate's confirmation of Kekere Ekum as CJN. Michael talked about that before we got into the review. I think that's so important, that's so necessary, because they are just returning, and if this is done, it's going to help.
It ought to be even proud to swearing in, because there were criticism by many Nigerians that you ought not to you don't ought to swear in the Chief Justice of Nigeria if the Senate have not confirmed. But the other way around, the Chief Justice of Nigeria had tenure had elapsed, so that was why the president had to quickly, swear in the Chief Justice of Nigeria. But one of the topmost function of the Senate as a regime to be able to tackle that and also screen well properly the details of the new Chief Justice of Nigeria.
I think that may be the first thing they should be doing. Absolutely. That's why the papers are even referring to it this morning. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily News Hall this morning. If any of the stories interest you, pick a copy and go through it for more details. Over to you, Michael, for the next point of call.
Yes, the next paper we have Daily Sun. The big story coming from Daily Sun this morning. FG issues flood alerts in Benue, Adamawa, Anambra, Bayelsa. Rider says also 8 other states deploys personal equipment. The issues of a lot again, as we are not even done with that of Borno. So it's also time that the state involved should respond quickly to these issues, just as I've received a lot from the necessary agency. Other story coming from the Daily Sun: alleged terrorism. Justice Nyako withdraws from Kano's trial. Rada says returns case file to CJ. You can get that story on page 5. And of course, the legal practitioner will be joining us on the program to give us the perspective to this move by Justice Nyako. Nigeria's unemployment rate increases to 5.3% in Q1. That is the first quarter of the year 2024. CBN raises interest rates by 50 basis points by 27.25%. I can find that story on page 2 of the Daily Sun. Ladoja, our generation has failed Nigeria. Gives tips on how to end crisis in all sectors. And that's on page 12 of the Daily Sun. You can get details on that reaction. And now Dangote explains why fuel subsidy must go. And that is on page 2. The president of Dangote Refinery, Aliko Dangote, have given extensive explanation on why fuel subsidy must go, and then many Nigerians who begin to wonder, are we not already in subsidy?
I actually wanted to ask, when we were talking about that, Michael, I wanted to ask you, because you were the one taking the headline. I wanted to ask you, do we still have fuel subsidy?
Government is the right person to answer that, because
they told us subsidy is gone.
3 May 29, there was a funny reaction on the Twitter, and someone said, anytime you want to remember this government administration, remember that on the early hours of May 29, the fuel was still as low as 180. Prior to the inauguration, I think at the hours of 11 a.m. or thereabout, that was when the declaration of fuel subsidy began. And from that moment, things probably have skyrocketed. But in a way, for Dangote to be out again to explain why fuel subsidy must go, I've raised this another question. Are we still subsidizing fuel? With what we are having, with the reality of buying fuel at 1,000 naira, it doesn't mean that government is still subsidizing it. Let government come out to tell Nigerians, oh, this is how much we're buying, this is how much, these are the reality. Because the back and forth from petroleum sector is also keeping Nigerians wondering, and they are doubting every move by the government if it's in a good direction. So, what will the explanation will make you understand better what Dangote means by Dangote, why a fuel subsidy must go. Get the paper is on the page 2 of the Daily Sun. And our Samoa agreement, media ombudsman orders Daily Trust to apologize to FG. That's page 27. Writer says tackles government for delay in explaining agreement. The issues of a Samoa agreement, just as because Daily Trust earlier gave these information out to the Nigerian public, and they are also need and a move for federal government saying they have to apologize to them, and because they were delayed. Because that's one thing about I've always insisted that sometimes the silence of government may give room for prediction, may give room for speculation. So I think every responsible government must always respond, to every information that is on the forefront, because by this you have already addressed the issues of speculations, prediction, or rumors, or so that citizens can be able to have confidence on the fact that this is the position of government and this is the truth. So delaying explaining may give room for people to start, giving predictions, and how fast rumors in Nigeria can go at the moment. I think,
especially the era of social media, whatever comes out on the social media, just give it. Do I say minutes? Not of a minute, within a twinkle of an eye. It has gone viral, and it has effect, a lot of effect. It can generate a lot of reactions. So we should be careful with the kind of informations we pass across, especially on the social media, because a lot of people don't even know how to use the social media. They feel, well, this is content. So they must always copy and paste. Without even filtering. Just copy and paste, and it goes on and on and on, and the impact, the ripple effect of this keeps coming up.
A very sad one there, but many should begin to learn. Akpabio, Kalu laments rising inflation and high cost of living. That was the Senate President in Kalu lamenting the, Kalu the other day said, I probably have packed up my private jet, I can't no longer service that. So you see that even the rich, even those at the top are also feeling it, because just I imagine how much probably your car, you used to fuel your car as low as maybe 20,000 in full tank, but now looking at 75,000, you're looking at 100,000 just a fuel tank. That probably may not.
How much more a private jet?
So how much more a private jet? So it looks that the hardship is touching everybody.
Yeah, even though the private jets don't use the normal fuel, but the jet fuel that they use is also high. But then look at the disparity. Michael, the disparity. We're talking about, Nigerians are talking about what to eat. How to drive car, that's
the priority.
Then someone is talking about a private jet. The connection, the distance, the difference is so high. Okay, so you can just see that. But the most important thing is the fact that the whole thing is affecting everyone. Okay, both the rich, the poor, and the average Nigerians are being affected by the effect of what we are facing right now in the country. But then private jets, then you talk about Brado, then you begin to talk about the other cars. Then you talk about people who use Legady's Benz too.
Well, that's the size of Dolly Son, voice of the nation. Over to you, Ramsey.
All right, thank you very much, Michael, for those wonderful headlines. And now, the next point of call will be the Daily Trust newspaper. And I'm starting with the big story. The big story says, Army discharges female soldier for accused of officer of sexual advances. I take that again. This story, I saw this story earlier, and there was a mixed feeling that I got. Well, it's not everything we'll say, but then just listen to the big story, and of course the riders, then you can actually digest it yourself. It says, Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances. Then the riders to that story, the first rider says cites mental challenge. The second one says exonerates colonel of allegation. The third rider, Women Affairs Ministry silent over the situation. The details you can get on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Then this one says Nigerians grappling with hardship. That is coming from Akpabio. I think it's one thing for you to be in authority and feel for the people, know what the people are feeling. As a Senate President, he has come out. This is the second paper where he's identifying and recognizing the fact that Nigerians are going through so much. But then, come to think about it, just saying it and of course having that feeling, is that enough? Something needs to be done. We heard that there was going to be a sacrificing of half salary or so. But later on, we heard that bureaucracy resulted to the fact that that never happened. I don't know if that is still in place. And Michael says something. He said the silence of the government speaks volume, and it makes people interpret so many things. Me, what I feel is it's better not said at all than being said and not done. All right, that is coming from the Senate President, who says Nigerians grappling with hardship, which is obvious. More headlines still coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Zamfara, that's the kicker. Lawal Matawale's feud gets messier. Again, expectations, CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. And then this one says Tinubu seeks UN permanent seat, debt forgiveness for Nigerians and others. The details of that you can actually find on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Looking at what is happening, I think it will be a good one if a UN permanent seat and debt forgiveness for Nigerians is something. I think if that is done, it's going to go a long way, very long way. This headline says BUA donates 2 billion naira Binani 50 million naira to Borno flood victims. Michael, the details of that is on page 22. A lot of people have raised eyebrow, okay, concerning how much has been raised so far. I think amounting to over 12 billion.
Yes.
Okay.
But the government have been out and said, oh, we have received physical. You know, some of this money were what they pledged, you know, at the 12 billion. So the governor, I think yesterday or the before yesterday, confirmed that he has received, as at the time, 4 billion naira. And also made a move to set up a committee to respond to that. But what the question, just as we were trying to go, was the fact that it's still dragging, because at 4 billion naira, we should be able to see lives that have also, you know, been taken out of IDP camps. We've seen people that have been responding and feeling the impact of why this flood and the disaster actually happened to them. So, in a way, it's a signal that government must always be responsive to situation. Do we need to wait to, you know, the complete 12 billion is in physical hands of the government? What have you done? You know, the videos we have seen is disturbing, because you see government throwing in bread, you know, and some food stuff around the city. So, in a way, it's an urgent need for government, you know, to tackle that. So the disaster management is a whole lot on government. So people have promised. So at the 4 billion that you have, how far? Where has it gone to? We've seen a committee of the EFCC, we've seen a committee of... We don't really need all of that, you know. You just take a sincerity government, you know, to approach this issue with sympathy. But you know, setting up a committee to start looking at EFCC, for EFCC to do what? So
by setting up a committee, don't you think setting up that committee is in a way for the governor to exonerate himself? You know, a lot of...
It's an empowerment scheme for some persons.
That's because...
It's an empowerment scheme because we've seen different committees also go down well. They will tell you they are having meetings, they are printing files, they are doing all of that. But, I mean, we've seen the awareness that they started doing, you know, telling people the danger of flood. Do the people that have already been victim of the situation, you know, urgently doing that? We've seen NEMA organizing, you know, conferences in Borno State right now just to be able to educate. We don't all need all of that. And urgent steps in taking these people out, and those that have been victims of the situation, you know, can be moved to a better place, because them still being in the IDP camps is also exposing them to a whole lot of danger in terms of cholera and all of that. So government must do better at all times.
Yes, government must do better, but then for everything there is a process to everything. Whatever you want to do, the process. Michael, I think Michael is talking from the angle of having feelings for people. You know how it feels when people have been displaced. Sometimes I tell people, if it doesn't happen to you, you won't know the gravity of what has actually happened in Borno State. I'm even expecting more responses from people, well-meaning Nigerians, that reach everyone, international organizations, so that something can be done quickly, like you said, so that these people can be rehabilitated, and of course, first of all, their conscience, their mentality needs to be worked on. The psychological, emotional effect that came from that situation needs to be managed first of all before anything is done. But then, following due process by setting up a committee so that there can be transparency is something. But then, when would we start seeing results? I think that's what Michael is talking about. And more headlines still coming from the Daily Trust newspaper, and just 2 more stories, and I will be done. This one says Akure goes to sleep as monarch begins leave. Then the final one says EFCC probes on staff over 15 million naira bribery allegation. Bribery and corruption happening from people who are actually prosecutors of people involved in corruption. I think it's a right step in the right direction. It wasn't covered. Bringing out the staff of EFCC to probe him or her for 15 million naira bribery allegation is something commendable. But then I think more needs to be done, because some persons may say, I know what Nigerians will say is that the only person that may have collected bribe. So I think more needs to be done, so that Nigerians will know that EFCC is working as they are working. They are working very well. All right, over to you, Michael, for the next point of call.
Yes, so the next paper this morning is the Guardian paper, and the big story coming from the Guardian says growing jobless. Self-employed Nigerians deem tax potential. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Tinubu advocates multi-terrorism permanent UNSC seat and debt forgiveness. Judge rescues himself from Nnamdi Kanu's treason trial. We can get that on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, Senate resumes, urges action on economic security challenges. That's on page 3. Just as we're reacting to the resumption of the Senate, of course, understand the fact that they have pressing issues. Many Nigerians were even saying, why would you even be going on a recess when the country is passing through a hardship? You're going to rest, because this is what the government and this is what the National Assembly should have ought to tackle. The cases of insecurity is rising every day. The cases of economic hardship is facing Nigerians, and Nigerians want to see how the Senate can begin to tackle them by calling those involved, invite those that are involved. Let them come and answer questions that Nigerians are asking. What is the CBN governor doing? What is the policy on ground? If you've tried the policy for over a year now and it's not working, what are you doing?
Change it, of course.
Because we had a screening for these ministers and appointees of government. So what responses have they made? What difference have they made? Because we can't always blame the president, because the president can't always do the work alone. He has the ministers he appointed to do the work. So it's time the Senate start inviting, probably they have to invite all his ministers again to start coming again to answer some questions. I think that's the steps that Nigerians are looking at, because the hardship is real. We can't even know where to go to. We can't even know who to hold responsible. Everybody's saying government, the president. But there are sectors that probably controls, the running of the economy. So NNPC are involved. Invite the NNPC. Let all of the NNPC officials appear in the Senate. That's what Nigerians want to see. So I should address these issues.
The key officials really need to appear in the Senate, and more so that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said that any minister found wanting, that is not working, will be shown the way out. We're still waiting for that time, but Nigerians at this point believes that probably all the ministers are working so far, and hence we've not heard anything yet, but we're still waiting. I think the Senate can also call some of them to order. What are you doing? This road construction, Minister Umahi, how far have you gone? Because when they first came into office, we saw some gymnastic from some ministers, but then everything has gone cold. And come to talk about what Nigerians are feeling right now, like you said, that the ministers need to be called and ask questions. Also, the House of Representative members who are directly representing the constituencies should also take it up as a responsibility upon themselves to make sure the people in their constituency get every relief material or palliative that is being distributed from the federal government, and they on their own should try as much as possible, which is part of their responsibility, because the call is that you are representing these people to ensure they are fine in the country, and that's why you are there at the top. So they should step down to the people. Let the people know what is happening. They should help the people overcome some of this situation. We are not saying they can do everything 100% to put Nigeria on a global map right now as the best country. But
Nigerians are not even asking of too much.
Not too much. That's the good thing about Nigerians.
Nigerians are just asking of the basic.
Just the basic.
Allow us to crash down the inflation.
That's it.
Let 5,000 naira begin to buy things at the market. Let 10,000 naira begin to feed families over a day. That's just what Nigerians are asking of. But let's get to still have a more story from the Guardian. The front page of the Guardian is an overview of the Nigerian labor market, where we can find statistics of the labor force, not in the labor force, the percentage of the retired, the informal sector. We also have unemployed at 5.3%. I mean, you can get, I think, the analysis of that overview of the Nigerian labor market will be on the content of the paper, The Guardian, this morning.
All right. Thank you, Michael. The papers this morning are carrying a lot of heavy headlines, and it's so good that we have that. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll continue with the rest of the newspaper review.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Many thanks for being there. It is still Global Morning on Global Television, bringing you the newspaper headlines for the day. And the next point of call will be the Daily Independent newspaper. And of course, we are bringing you these headlines because you deserve to know. And if you are not informed, you are deformed in a way. So these informations are key. And that's what Global Television do. Right now to the next point of call, which is the Daily Independent. And the big story says, Nigerians grappling with realities of soaring living cost. Akpabio still talking on almost all the papers this morning. This concern is amazing, Michael.
Because it's about accepting the reality we are.
It's good. It's good.
It's about leaders also coming to know that, I mean, this is what we are feeling. Because sometimes when Nigerians are speaking, and then it looks like government are not responding, they feel that they are not feeling, they are not in any way sharing their plight. So for the Senate and for Akpabio, you recall Akpabio was on the backlash in the media the other time where they were about, I mean, the protests. At the first day of the protest, when Akpabio said, you know, do not go out to protest. Probably when you'll be protesting, when they'll be protesting, and then we'll be eating. So it was looking at, it is far from the reality. But now he has acknowledged the reality we are now. Things are hard, that the government must begin to pay attention in addressing the economic hardship. Because I've probably spoken with some elderly person that said it has never been worse like this in terms of economic hardship. You know, the inflation has also been on the rising end. So I think it's about leaders embracing the reality.
The realities of the day. Leaders embracing the realities of the day. And I think maybe he's trying to correct the wrongs, okay, that came up during the protest, probably, or we can actually say he has now gotten a feeling, maybe a serious feeling of what Nigerians are going through. More headlines. This one, the writers to that story, which says challenges testing very fabric of our society. Okay, says challenges testing every fabric of our society. Tinubu asks Senate to confirm Kekere Edum as CJN. Then more headlines still coming from the Daily Independent on page 29. This one says Nigeria's unemployment rate increased to 5.3% Q1 2024. Federal government complaint, that's the kicker of the story. Then the story says Ombudsman says Daily Trust breached media professional standard. This one says U.S. Chamber of Commerce commit $320 million to mortgages SMEs in Nigeria. Take that again. This is beautiful. In a time like this, U.S. Chamber of Commerce commits $320 million to mortgages SMEs in Nigeria. Details read on page 29 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Then this one says tourist experts canvass reduction in visa fees, adoption of technology. The details of this you can actually find on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Army discharges a female soldier who accused officer of sexual harassment. Details on page 6. Then this one looks more like the big story too, which says we will continue to increase rates as inflation rises. This is coming from Cardoso. Well, we will increase rates, okay, as inflation rises. That is coming from Cardoso. I think like CBN heard what you said earlier. Two riders to that story. CBN raises MPR to 27.25%, CRR to 50%. Then the second rider says our states needs to curtail excess liquidity, meet FX demand pressures. And those are the riders to the story. Still on the Daily Independent this morning. This one says our power struggle main cause of conflict in Nigeria and in Africa. This is coming from Jonathan, and details read on page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper. A drama in court as Justice Nyako withdraws from trial of Nnamdi Kanu, withdrawal from Nnamdi Kanu's case. You know what that means, and there is some form of drama in the court. But then nothing happened for just happening's sake. There must be a reason why certain things happen. To get the details, pick a copy of the Daily Independent newspaper. And the last headline from the Daily Independent says inadequate funding, manpower impending our performance. Army chief is the one saying this. Manpower impending our performance in a country where there is a high rate of banditry, security, and of course kidnapping, a lot of activities going on right now, insurgency everywhere. Then this kind of complaint is coming. The lack of manpower is making us not to work effectively, meaning there is a shortage of manpower. We don't have enough officers. That is what it means. And some persons at some point in time were actually complaining of the fact that the equipments the Nigerian army have cannot equate what these bandits are using. And that has posed a lot of problem in the past, but so unfortunate that this morning we're getting to know again that the army chief is coming out to say the lack of manpower has actually limited their operations. I think the authorities need to do something ASAP if we must curb and bring to rest the situation in the country right now as it has to do with insecurity. Over to you, Michael.
And our next paper this morning is Leadership newspaper. The front page of Leadership has Matawalle denies links with bandits. Demands proof. And that's on page 4 of the Leadership, and it's having the front page this morning. I'll blame Buhari for current economic hardship.
Are you
CBN, page 4. The writer says Tinubu inherited a battered economy. And another writer says we are battling with repercussions of 35 trillion ways and means. Stakeholders raises concern over 27.25% interest rate. Ramsey.
I think we need to grow beyond the shifting blames right now. Nigeria,
because I think saying it's the same government.
It's NDC to APC. So I don't even want to talk about that, Michael, because what Nigerians are feeling right now, the hit should not be all about party, but it should be all about the people. It shouldn't be all about shifting blames, because as a father,
they should respond to the situation.
If you want to take you should be ready to inherit responsibilities as leaders, because
you asked for the job.
You wanted to be there, and these are some of the things that needs to be done, because
absolutely
it's not all about the past president. It's not all about the party. We need to come to times when we will know that it is all about the people, the individual, the Nigerians. So I don't see shifting blame as being important right now. Looking at the situation of the country now is to get to the drawing table. Let's get to the ball. Let's get there and see what can we do to salvage this situation. President Buhari has gone. And most of that is even APC transiting into another APC. So I don't think this is relevant, and it's what Nigerians want to hear right now.
Because the point is, just as every other person knew that you were asking for the job. Let's see what you can do. Let's see your own contribution to the battered economy that you inherited from the last administration, because it's one way to say, oh, I inherited a bad economy, but in excellent, what steps have you taken? So Nigerians are not sharing in this sentiment. I mean, because it looks like this is an emotional blackmail on Nigerians to sympathize with the fact that this government is tackling a whole lot of economy issues. But CBN, probably Nigerians are not accepting this as a reality. And are saying that this is the same this is the same party. So you can't really push blame now. Let's see on your own little best what you can do differently in helping the economy.
How well is the central bank doing? That's another question.
That's the eyebrows we are still having. Well, the stakeholders have reacted, and most especially to the 35 trillion ways and means. I mean, that particular move by that administration was quite very sad. But let's get to other papers, headlines we have on leadership. APC tackles Yaga Africa over a Edopo report. That's on page 14. Yaga Africa is a national observing organization in Nigeria that supervises and observes and monitors situations in elections. And the recent reports of Edo have not really gone down well with the ruling party. So they have cautioned them and how they should give report. You were reading about the United States report also in the election. So, every observer always have their own perspective to the outcome of election. So I feel it's not what is good for our democracy, because if the party speaks, they'll tell you it's because you failed election. Because now the PDP are speaking, APC are saying because you failed election. If PDP had won and APC were speaking, PDP would have said because you fell out of the race. So we can't really trust when political parties speak, because they are the ones that even sell some of this propaganda faster. But when an organization, just as we've monitored what the Yaga have been doing for the past times, when they come out to give an observation on the election, we shouldn't just be fast in throwing it out. Rather, we should embrace it, for working development, because INEC still have a long way to go. The conduct of election to Nigerians are not still very pleasant to them. So, in a way, what the Yaga gave is their own personal report, so they shouldn't dismiss it.
I think what we should be hearing right now is, okay, this is the take home from what Yaga Africa is saying. Samson Itodo has been in the game, not just now, he's not just starting it. Okay, the founder of Yaga Africa, he has been in the game for a very long time. So, faulting whatever he's saying, probably because it's not favoring some set of people. Throwing it out completely, like you said, is not the best, because there might be one or two take-homes from these observations, and this will, in a way, help us prepare for more off-cycle elections as they come up, even general elections. So observers are actually there to observe, and if you observe and you don't say anything, okay, it means you've not observed. The reason why we even have them in the first place is to observe, and observations needs to come up after you have gone to observe an election. So whatever Yaga Africa is saying right now shouldn't be thrown out completely. You may decide not to take everything they've said, but then throwing it completely, okay, tackling them, and of course saying what they have done really doesn't appeal well to the All Progressive Congress.
It's an issue and a move in a democracy. Wow, that's coming from APC on page 14 of our leadership. FG to launch new school curriculum next month. On page 8. I think we just were reacting to the issues of curriculum in the country. So federal government are making move to launch a new school curriculum. Kudos to government, kudos to the Ministry of Education. And that's what we have always been advocating for. Not just about setting up standard to probably limit those behind, those that are not up to 18 years from having admission into universities or writing JAM. Also, look at the curriculum. So if by next month, they're able to pay attention to this, I think it's a good steps by the federal government. Also, we have Dangote 6 end to petrol subsidy. We earlier reacted to that, and the police officers die in Zaria Kano auto crash. That's the size of the leadership. newspaper.
Well, all this put together are the headlines coming on your way today. We're going on a quick break to make way for the AM news, which will be coming shortly. And after then, we'll return with our analysts as we throw more light on the major headlines for the day. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Hello and welcome to all the viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Adikan Michael. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. President Bola Tinubu has formally requested the Senate to confirm Justice Kekere Dikun as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. During Tuesday's plenary session, the request was presented in a letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Kekere Dikun has been serving as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria since August, following the retirement of Justice Olukayode Ariwola. Now, the House of Representatives says it expects the submission of the 2025 appropriation bill by the executive as it resumes from its annual recess today. The House spokesperson, Rep. Akin Rotimi, disclosed this in a statement. He said timely submission from the executive would be crucial as it facilitated the thorough scrutiny and public input through town hall meetings, a practice that was pioneered by the House during the 2024 budget review. Now, the Nigerian Senate suspended plenary in honor of late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, who passed away during the annual recess of the National Assembly. The Red Chamber resumed its plenary session yesterday following the annual recess that began in late July. Queen Agaba has details.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read several correspondences from President Bola Tinubu. The communications included a supplementary appropriation bill for the Federal Capital Territory Administration, the nomination of Justice Kudirat Kekere for confirmation as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and a request for the confirmation of commissioners for the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
To forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of 21 underlisted nominees as commissioners to fill the existing vacancies of their respective states in the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
After the formalities, the lawmakers paid tribute to the late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, CON, by observing a moment of silence.
To rise, observe a minute silence in honor of distinguished Senator Ifeanyi Ubah.
Senator Ubah, who passed away in late July 2024 at 52, represented the Anambra South Senatorial District and chaired the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources. Following the tribute, the plenary session was adjourned to honor the late senator's legacy.
We therefore extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, his constituents, Anambra State, and indeed our dear nation. At the appropriate time, we'll do justice to his legacies.
The adjournment by the Red Chamber is in line with the tradition of the National Assembly to suspend the first sitting after the death of a federal lawmaker. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
In a move designed to strengthen the country's national value system following the declining of values, the Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of a Citizens Value Brigade for primary, secondary schools across the country. Our Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, started these while addressing correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Shanajan tells us more.
Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says the government is worried about the observed decline in value system, hoping that it can be altered for the sake of sustainable development. He further says there is an improvement of inclusion of national value charter and national symbols to be made mandatory, not just in the curriculum, but in the teaching of civil education.
Model citizens among Nigerians. We have noted, Council has noted the gradual erosion of our values, especially among the younger ones, and this is giving rise to the kind of misbehavior and attitude that we see that is out of tune with our tradition and our norms and our upbringing. So Council has noted that there is the need for strengthening and going back to these core values that Nigeria is known for over time, for which we know that there has been some kind of decline.
The Federal Executive Council also approved the construction of 40 houses for judges and justices in the Federal Capital Territory. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, announced this during the media briefing, saying that the 40 residents will be constructed in the Katampe district, with 20 allocated to the FCT High Court, 10 to the Federal High Court, and 10 to the Court of Appeal. He says the project is slated for completion within 15 months.
The importance, Mr. President, attaches to the judiciary. Mr. Frame finds it very difficult how judges and justices will be living in rented houses and hotel apartments. That is not safe for judiciary. That is not convenient for them to do their work. And so Mr. President directed that the FCT, through the FCDA, should immediately construct 40 number judges and justices quarters at Katampe district. Now what it means is that out of these 40, FCT High Court, which is like the FCT Court, will have 20. The Federal High Court will have 10, and the Court of Appeal will have 10.
However, the council also approved several major road projects across the country, allocating billions of naira for construction. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, announced that the Abuja-Kano Road project, handled by Julius Berger, received approval of 740 billion naira. The project, initially valued at 155 billion naira, was revised to 797 billion naira by the previous administration and further increased to 1.5 trillion naira. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
And now the Nigerian Army has refuted allegations of sexual harassment by the ex-private Ruth Ogunleye against Ibrahim Abdulkarim and other personnel of Army Medical Corps Lagos. This refutal was made by the Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Oyema Nwachiku, while addressing journalists in Abuja. Kikalo Mokere has details.
It could be recalled that earlier this year, a female army personnel, Ogunleye Ruth, cried out for help over alleged sexual abuse by her superior officer through her social media platforms. The Director, Army Public Relations, Oyema Nwachuku, reveals that the Army took every accusation leveled against its personnel seriously and established procedure to investigate claims made against its personnel to ensure a fair and impartial process. He stated that the findings were definitive and based on objective evaluation of the available information. The investigation concluded that Colonel Abdulkarim did not commit the offense of sexual harassment as alleged by ex-private Ruth Ogunleye.
It is crucial to assert that the Nigerian Army, in its bid to ensure justice and transparency, conducted an exhaustive review of the facts, testimonies, and evidence presented. The investigation concluded that Colonel I.B. Abdulkarim did not commit the offense of sexual harassment as alleged by ex-private Ruth Ogunleye. The findings were definitive and based on objective evaluation.
Nwachuku disclosed that ex-private Ruth Ogunleye had been recommended for discharge on medical grounds since 2022, but the Nigerian Army, being sympathetic, thought it wise to give her the best medical treatment before discharging her into the wider society. He says her act of defamation is therefore due to her mental health issues, which was confirmed at the National Hospital in Abuja.
While the Army was addressing the allegations of sexual harassment, further concerns about Ruth Ogunleye's conduct came to light. Her behavior, both online and offline, raised questions about her worsening mental health and emotional stability. Consequently, the Nigerian Army referred ex-private Ruth Ogunleye for medical evaluation at the National Hospital in Abuja, following earlier assessments made by the Nigerian Army Medical Corps that suggested potential mental health concerns.
He stated that the Nigerian Army is a professional force committed to highest standards of discipline, integrity, and accountability. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Imo State Independent Electoral Commission has declared all the 27 chairmanship and 305 councillorship candidates of All Progressive Congress winners of the state local government election. Imo State correspondent Amarachi Ibe has the details.
While responding to allegations by opposition parties, the Commission's chairman, Professor Jogu, says the agency followed all laid-down procedures, describing the election as peaceful, fair and credible.
Fair, transparent, and credible.
Meanwhile, the state chairman of APC, McDonald Ebere, has congratulated all the winners at the election and praised the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, for providing a level playing field for all political parties in the election.
I want to first of all thank His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Imo State, for providing the enabling environment for this election to be seamless. I want to thank the Imo people who came out in mass to vote for the party of their choice. For those who won this election, I know they will be magnanimous in victory. And for everything we are Imo people.
Amarachi Ibe, Global TV, Owerri.
Governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, has approved a reduction in the number of days public servants are required to work each week in a bid to lessen their transportation costs. The governor also announced an extension of palliative payments to public servants for the next 2 months. A statement issued by the governor's spokesperson Olawale Rashid and obtained in Osobo on Tuesday indicated that the approval was outlined in a circular from the office of the head of service. And Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has rescued herself from the trial of the 10th leader of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on the allegation of bias leveled against her by the accused person. The decision of the judge to rescue herself from the trial followed Kanu's open outburst against his counsel and the judge. We has the details.
It says all these things are...
Nnamdi Kanu, who spoke from the dock at the resumed proceeding, directly told Justice Yanko that he no longer had confidence in the handling of his trial. While his lawyer, Aloy Jemako, was trying to persuade the court to suspend the trial on the basis that his client was denied the opportunity to prepare his defense, Kanu got up from his seat and ordered him to sit down.
Then we need to try another court. The Constitution is very clear on this. Section 36 made it very clear that he deserves, as of right, the adequate facility to prepare for his defense. And who prepares him for his defense? His defense counsel. But we're not being given the opportunity. The court did make some order, and the consequences of that order would have resulted in getting him adequately prepared. But most of those orders were disobeyed in their material particulars. For instance, we were not provided a clean room where no one will have listening devices to listen to our conversations. And our documents, legal documents we take to the DSS facility, detention facility, are interdicted and seized and taken to places, photocopies and whatnot. Even
the prosecution counsel, Adegboyega Awomolo, urged the court to proceed with the trial, but Justice Binta Yanko declined and recused herself from the case. Uyi Agmofwebe, reporting for Global Television News.
The Director General of National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Wadi Ahmed, has urged the scheme's internal auditors to instill the culture of accountability in their official duties. Brigadier General Ahmed discloses at the opening ceremony of the 2024 NYC Internal Auditors Workshop. He said that it is very important to reinforce the scheme's internal financial control systems to avoid financial losses. Speaking through the Director of Procurement, Chris Jimba, Brigadier General Ahmed urged them to ensure that the scheme's financial practice adhere to the highest ethical and compliance standards. You're watching M News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When M News returns, Osun reduces work days for workers, extensive palliative. Details of these and more after this short break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. And on to business. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of a disaster management fund. This was disclosed to journalists by Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy Wale Edun at the State House in Abuja after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu. Kikala Makere has details.
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says in this era of climate change, no matter the prevention measures in place, disaster will still occur. He emphasized the importance of pooling funds from various sectors and being prepared when disasters strike.
We need to build greater resilience in the form of a substantial disaster relief fund separate from the agencies that actually intervene physically. This will focus on the financing and bringing together the funding from across the spectrum, the federal, the subnational levels.
Edun also reveals that the Council passed the Economic Stabilization Bill, which is largely based on the recommendation of the Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee.
The Companies Income Tax Act, there's also a proposal to amend that basically to allow Nigerians with the skills, the expertise, and the relevant relationships to be able to stay in Nigeria and provide services to foreign companies abroad without those companies having to come and register in Nigeria, thereby opening up a whole vista of employment opportunities, income opportunities, and entrepreneurship opportunities.
He further explained that the bill is aimed at implementing the committee recommendations, including proposed amendment to the company's income tax. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television.
The National Bureau of Statistics has stated that 5.4% of Nigerians are under the working age population unemployed in the year 2023. Recall that the NBS had last year adopted a new methodology for its level survey, defining those that are in the level force to be 15 and above that are willing, available, and able when the survey is conducted. Also, those that will be categorized as unemployed would have worked at least 1 hour from the previous 7 days the survey will be conducted, which is a departure of the 20 hours the own method carried. Now, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has conducted a comprehensive mop-up operation across various markets in Maiduguri, Borno State. A press statement signed by the agency's resident media consultant, Sayo Kintola, noted that the mop-up operation took place at the Gambaro Drug and Food Market, Monday Market, Open Air Theatre Drug Market, and the Gwange Drug Market. This initiative is aimed at removing drugs and food items contaminated by recent flood waters to prevent the reintroductions into sales as part of market control strategy, thereby preventing possible outbreaks of disease. Operative of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have again arrested a 48-year-old businessman, Christian Aboji. Aboji was first arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on May 10, 2023, upon arrival from Uganda via Addis Ababa for ingesting 93 lates of cocaine weighing 1.986 kilograms. The United States Chamber of Commerce has expressed willingness to invest approximately $320 billion in mortgage refinancing and small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. And this was disclosed in a statement issued by the spokesperson for Vice President Kashim Shettima, Stanley Nwocha. The President and Chief Executive of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has called on the federal government to end fuel subsidies completely. He said the removal will help determine the actual petrol consumption in the country as it confirmed ownership of 2 oil blocks in the upstream sector with an expected production date of next month. Dangote also said that the fuel production from its $20 billion mega refinery in Lagos will help ease pressures on the naira. The refinery can refine 650,000 barrels of crude oil daily. Inter- and intra-city transport fares have risen by over 200% in Akwa Ibom State following the shutting down of petrol stations and other outlets by the Independent Petroleum Market Association of Nigeria. Report says that IPMAN had increased fuel prices to between 2,000 naira and 2,500 naira per litre. Explaining reasons behind the action, which took effect Tuesday in a statement, IPMAN Chairman, Coordinating Committee and Secretary of the State, Comrade Francis Odoyen and Prince Ekam Idamuda said the union called out their members in solidarity to demand the release of the PMS laden trucks seized 4 months ago by operative of the Joint Task Force. Allowed to fall seen escalating clashes between Israel and Hezbollah threatened to overshadow United States President Joe Biden's final appearance at the United Nations signature annual event as diplomats scrambled to avert all the outgoing regional war. The gathering of dozens of world leaders, the high point of the diplomatic calendar, comes a day after Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon killed more than 490 people, according to local authorities. As world leaders gathered in March on Monday for the annual flurry of the speeches and face-to-face diplomacy, United Nations Security Council members France called for an emergency meeting on the crisis engulfing the Middle East. Israel has announced dozens of new airstrikes of the Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon a day after 492 people, including 35 children, were killed in the deadliest bombardment since the devastating war in 2006. Israel overnight strikes on southern Lebanon came after it said he had killed a large number of militants when it hit about 1,600 suspected Hezbollah targets around the country. Hezbollah said it had launched volleys of missiles at Israeli military bases hours after 180 of its projectiles and unarmed aerial vehicle crossed into Israeli airspace, sending people in the city of Haifa running for shelter. And out to sports. Liverpool manager Arne Slot has provided an update on goalkeeper Alisson Becker's status while the club faces the mounting pressure to secure Trent Alexander, a long-term future amidst the interest from European giants. Alisson, who missed Liverpool's recent 3-0 victory over Bournemouth, is still on the road to recovery. The Slot confirmed in the pre-match press conference that the Brazilian keeper will not be available for the upcoming Carabao Cup fixtures against the West Ham United. And our English Premier League giants Liverpool, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur have sent their scouts to watch Atlanta forward Ademola Lookman ahead of the potential move next summer. Our football's Grammy Bradley, the APL trio had their scout in the tenders during the Europa Champions League between Atalanta and Arsenal last Thursday to watch the Nigeria international. And our more on sport, former two-time heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua has been urged to retire from boxing following his knockout defeats to follow British Daniel Dubious on Saturday. The call came from former boxing champion Prince Nassim, who believes Joshua should bow out of the sport after suffering his fourth professional loss. And as the size of a package on AM News and come to you live from Nigeria's capital. You can follow us on all our social media at Global TV NG and all the handles shown on the screen. My name is Edikan Michael, and the discussion on the on Global Morning continues after this break. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Many thanks for joining us on Global Morning. Welcome back from the AM News. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course it's still that time where we bring you to speed with the headlines for today. I told us before we went on that break that on return, our guest will be joining us, and we have him right here, joined us on the program this morning. But then it's so good that we got a lot of information from the papers taken already and from the news item that came this morning. But I'll just look at a few more papers, then our guest will react to it. Our guest is Mohammed Abdulaziz Esquire, okay, principal partner, Lex Imperatus. And of course, I want to say a very big thank you for coming. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always a delight to be in the studio here.
All right, we are so glad to have you too. Now to the headlines for the day as we bring you some reactions and analysis. Already we talked about the fact that federal government is issuing flood alert in Benue, Adamawa, Anambra, and Bayelsa state. And as it is right now, Abdulaziz, it's so glaring that what is happening in Borno State right now is not something to talk about. Some persons have said, well, we've not seen the action that we require from the federal government and the governor. Then now, federal government is issuing a flood alert in Benue, Adamawa, Anambra, and Bayelsa state. What do you think the states should do so we don't have a repeat of what happened in Borno State?
As it is said that prevention is better than cure, and I think now that we have early notification and alerts, the reason why we are doing that or why that is being done is for the states to prepare so that we are not going to have a repeat of what happened in Borno. Whatever measures, safety measures and safety nets that can be put in place should be done. Long now that we are aware that there is flood alert, and I think it's coming from the fact that a neighboring country, Cameroon, I think, was trying to drain off some waters from their dam, from their river, so they opened their dam. So, and all those states that will be affected have been notified, so long before the water gets to our coast. So, what is already happening in Maiduguri is in Borno State is very, very deplorable and heartbreaking, really heartbreaking, and there's no amount of response or relief materials that can be done, or relief efforts that can be done to actually allay the loss of the indigenes of the Borno State. So now that these states have been put on alert, the governors, all the stakeholders must come together, put up a committee or some sorts to look into what are they to expect, because when you are well prepared for a challenge, you're going to deliver very well. You'll be able to confront it, and you'll be able to put measures in place to avoid the worst, the ugly. So at least you'll still be able to manage. If it is to relocate some persons, oh hey look, so place areas you need to vacate for some time. So it gives it's an advantage and it's an opportunity for them to, prepare for the storm and be able to, live through it and minimize casualties.
All right, to minimize the casualties that may be resulting from that incident, so we don't have a repeat of what happened in Borno State. It is very, very important, like Abdulaziz have said, that measures be put in place on time. Moving away from there, it's obvious, you know what I'm talking about already, the fuel price and the fact that the product is not even available. You have to queue. Some persons even queue overnight to get these products, despite the fact that it's been sold above 1,000 naira. Then one amazing thing that we saw in the papers this morning is the fact that Dangote explains why fuel subsidy must go. But we were told that fuel subsidy has been removed long ago. But a game player in the industry, if Dangote make a statement like this, know that he's not just talking for talking's sake, looking at his pedigree, and more so that he is a stakeholder as far as this product is concerned right now in Nigeria. What would you make out of this statement?
Well, as regards the statement of Mr. Aliko Dangote, I would say that when it comes to subsidy and the oil and gas sector, the government has not been entirely sincere with us. Because I remember vividly when the subsidy was allegedly removed, prepared for the worst, and the worst has come, and it has continued to be worse and worse. So at no point has it taken an upward rise. It has been getting bad. So the price is still increasing at a very, very exorbitant rate. And at some point when we heard that Mr. Aliko Dangote is ready to supply the product into the Nigerian market, we're actually very happy, and we're hoping that it will even ease the sufferings revolving around getting the fuel. But it's quite unfortunate that the reverse is the case, even with the Dangote's readiness to supply and actual supply. The price have continued to increase, and the fact that NNPC is allowed to control the price, the pump price, I think is something that we might never know the truth of the matter when it comes to subsidy, because they are the one controlling the price. It is better that it's been left to the market forces. Although while the NNPCL is accusing Mr. Dangote of monopoly, and on the other side he's also saying he's trying to be frank, he's trying to disclose and to be honest to the Nigerian public. But then you want to believe that there are a lot of undertones, there are a lot of political undertone in that statement Mr. Dangote has made, because this is not going to be the first time Mr. Dangote will be trying to play to the gallery. So, and on the part of the government too, they have not been sincere with us. So I just hope that when the push comes to shove, the government will come out and tell us, look, Nigeria, tell us the naked truth, the stark truth as it is. Say, this is what is going on, this is what we can afford to, this is how we can afford to sell the price. So just like I said, the average Nigerian, you don't need to really, what you need to impress the average Nigerian is not, let him have this fuel. Now we are not even talking about the price again. It's high, right? But make it available. Let me be able to buy it anytime, walk into the station, and it's no longer business as usual. And this suffering has lingered. And this hardship, what this is translating into is that people will continue to see the government as irresponsible, continue to see the government as not working. So these are the negative development gaps that we're going to be seeing in the country for a while. So I'm hoping, and I hope that both on the part of Dangote and on the part of the Nigerian government, the NNPC, they come to the front and tell us the actual truth, what is going on, so that Nigerians are understanding. Definitely, Nigerians are very, very understanding, and they can adapt. But don't keep us in the dark. It is unpredictable. Tomorrow, I'm not sure I'll be able to get fuel tomorrow. Anything. The market is just, also so unpredictable, and it is not fair To be honest, it's not fair. We Nigerians, we deserve better from our leaders.
Okay, thank you. We Nigerians deserve better from our leaders. That's coming from an Esquire. Now let's talk about the fact that the Edo election, the almighty Edo election has come and gone. But then the footprints are still there. You know, a lot of reactions coming from different persons, different angles. The UN government have their own that they are talking about, different observers. But this morning, APC is tackling Yaga Africa, okay, concerning their own observation and reports that came from their own observation. And also, APC is saying to PDP that they should shelve the planned protest if actually they are planning anything like that. All this put together, and you're looking at what happened in Edo State. What is your thought concerning the election and the reactions coming thereafter?
So when it comes to elections, the primary reason why we have observers, why we have NGOs and international bodies come to observe elections is for them to be able to give feedback. So the question then arises, if the purpose for which you have allowed electoral observers to come around is for them to review, tell you where the areas you can improve, give a report and say, okay, this election was marred with irregularities, this is what we can do better. It is meant to shape the process and not necessarily to criticize the process. So why I find it quite disheartening that the APC will be tackling the Yaga Africa. Yaga Africa is a very, very reputable NGO that has been around for a while now, and I think what they should do is to accept that report. I don't know the content of the report. I've not been able to peruse it, but I know what should be done should be that they should let them holistically assess the report, review it, and for the purposes of internalizing the lessons that can be learned from the facts and figures presented in such reports. So the way to go will not be to criticize or to tackle. And also, now that the electioneering process is done, I think what typically we used to do is we have finished politics, let's start governance. And I think at this point, all the subject to those that might want to appeal and go to court and do test their the legal waters for tribunals. I think it's high time that the people of Edo State, they reunite and start working on getting better governance out of whoever has been declared the victor. So it's so unfortunate that in Africa and almost anywhere in the world, Nigeria ranks the country where we spend so much on election, both pre and post-election. Pre-election, we spend a lot of money in terms of campaigning, and post-election, we now enter serious litigation, drag it all the way to Supreme Courts. This demands a lot of resources, both human and capital. So it's quite unfortunate that is the situation in Nigeria. There's hardly any election in Nigeria that you are not sure that there won't be any court case, or there won't be any.
So are you suspecting that there might be a court case?
I'm not suspecting. I know. I can tell you categorically that some parties must have been preparing for, especially now. I think we had about 4 or 5 lawyers in the race, in the governorship race, deputy governor. So I mean, that is what we should expect. That is what is obtainable. So, but it will be good that we don't be sore losers at times. It's always good to at least look at the merits of your case. If you think you have a case, then go for it. But within yourself, conscience is meant to be our police. Our personal police is supposed to be our conscience, and I think what our politicians need is to always try as much as possible to introspect and refer to our inner conscience, which is supposed to be our own personal police.
All right, more stories still coming on your way this morning from the Punch newspaper. Now we have these headlines above the header. The kicker says banditry. Zamfara governor reports defense minister to NSA. Banditry. Zamfara governor reports defense minister to NSA. What could that be? What could the problem be? When a governor is reporting the defense minister to NSA, then you know that something is fishy. Details you can find on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. CBN banks sell $9 billion as Naira weakens to 1,670 to $1. That's so amazing. The Naira keeps falling. The Naira keeps falling. I could remember there was a time the Naira was falling like this. I think that was during the last regime, and something was done, and the Naira peaked. I think it was. I think it's like the president traveled at that point, and Osibanjo was in charge, and something happened, and the Naira peaked within a very short time, and people were wondering, so this thing is possible. But right now, the way we are, the inflation, everything coming together, we see the Naira falling like a stone on a daily basis. Do you think this is going to continue like this until it gets to, you know, Nigerians, before now, if someone said, hey, come on, Naira is going to exchange with dollar for 1,000 Naira, a lot of Nigerians would doubt it. But here we are, 1,670 to $1. Where are we heading to? What do you think of this constant fall of Naira?
So it's still all for me, it still all boils down to the fact that the country it continues to exhibit the symptoms of a developing country, the negative symptoms and gaps of a developing country. And to take you up on what you said about during the last regime, and that is to tell you that if the right things are done, and if things are done right, I repeat, if the right things are done, and things are done right, then we can actually achieve a better and stronger currency. The fiscal policy maker, which is the CBN, they are in charge, but then sadly there are a lot of varying interests, contending interests, pulling the strings of these fiscal policy makers. So there are a lot of indices, there are a lot of index, both from the business side, both from the political side, both from the foreign politics side. These are some of the things that are affecting the Naira. The Naira continues to fall, and we're hoping that very soon something will be done to drastically improve the Naira and make it gain more ground. And I believe that this administration is not too late to do the needful. It's not too late to intervene and do something, because I mean we're almost at $2,000 per dollars. We're almost at 2,000. It's really going to be very, very sad.
1,670.
It's really going to be very sad.
Well, that is from the Punch newspaper, reactions coming from our guest this morning, and so many other headlines from the Punch newspaper. This one says, UNGA UNGA 79, Tinubu seeks debt forgiveness for Nigeria. That will be very important if that is adhered to. It will be very, very important, because Nigeria, as it is right now, I think the country is it's not doing well economically, and debt added to it is something that is worrisome. But then if this is actually been adhered to, if this is actually been taken seriously and it happens, I think it will be a good one. Then the big story right here says subsidy. That's the kicker. Federal government may spend 236 billion naira monthly on imported Dangote petrol. Details read on page 26. The writer to that story says marketers orders back Dangote on subsidy remover. Meman lifts over 50 million liters of Dangote petrol. All right, meaning Dangote petrol is already in circulation, but I wonder why Nigerians are not feeling the effect. So what exactly is happening? What exactly is happening?
These are the questions. These are the questions that are hanging on the neck of the oil and gas regulators in this country. The question is hanging on their neck like this sword of Damocles. And just like I said earlier, it is very important that they come out and actually tell us what is happening. What truly is the problem? Why are we still here? I thought we thought that subsidy was removed, but apparently maybe it was just a certain percentage was removed. So let us know what is actually going on. Why are we still facing this kind of hardship? And if the total removal will solve the problem, I mean, let's do it. Prepare Nigerians for it. Let's know what it is. What it is. It is the lack of insincerity that is putting us where we are today.
All right, it's because of the lack of insincerity that we are facing what we are facing today. That's coming from an Esquire. And more still coming on your way this morning. Our next point of call is the Daily Times newspaper as we try to round up. As a matter of fact, NDLEA NABSA ex-convict with 4.6 billion naira worth of cocaine at MMIA. It is read on page 2. EFCC investigates officers over 15 million naira bribe allegation by cross-dresser Bobrisky. This is EFCC, someone that is supposed to be very, very clean, void of anything corruption, bribery and corruption. They are being found. Can you say this, investigating these officers is a plus to the authorities of EFCC? We're talking about cross-dresser Bobrisky, bribe allegation by cross-dresser. Probably Bobrisky is coming up with something. That's on page 4 of the Daily Times newspaper. So what do you think?
Well, it is for me, it is a show of shame. And if an anti-graft agency, well, I don't want to conclude because of the word alleged, you know, it's still subject to investigation. But it is very good that as soon as the allegation came up on the social media, the chairman of the EFCC quickly put out a statement and says that investigation is going to be done into this allegation. So that is a good one. That is a good PR. We are hoping that beyond the PR, actions will be taken, and if anyone is indicted in that investigation, we are going to get that update. We are going to know that, oh, this is true, this is not true. So it's actually a plus for the commission to have actually come out and say we are ready to get to the root of this. Unlike in the past, of course, we'll see that some of these government agencies, people will come, make allegation, and nothing will happen. The news will come, it will trend, and it will die down. But this time around, it's actually nice that the commission is investigating that allegation, and we are hoping that it will get to the root of the matter and feed us back the public. Because the allegation was that he paid 15 million naira to have the charge of money laundering removed, and to now leave only the charge of mutilating naira, spraying naira. So that was the allegation. So that 15 million naira was paid to certain persons that were not named. In any case, Bobrisky came out to say it is fake. That the video that was released by the socialites, the social activist, very dark man, was fake, and it does not know where it came from. But the good thing is that investigations will be done into this allegation. So every necessary person and necessary party will be put under microscopic lens of investigation. So we're hoping that the investigative efforts will yield some results, so that as to strengthen the public perception of our anti-graft agency, and also the total integrity of the judiciary, because the allegation is very serious. It touches on the anti-graft, it touches on the judiciary as an organization, because in that video again, it was said that Bobrisky did not actually go to the jail. He didn't spend time at the correctional center, but was kept somewhere at an apartment nearby. So these are very, very serious. I hope that the Nigerian Correctional Service will come out and also make the necessary investigations to know the veracity, to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of this allegation. These are serious allegations, and I think the judiciary too should also come out to set up a panel of inquiry to know that, okay, court ordered for court gave somebody a sentence, and that person is not spending the sentence where he's supposed to be. I mean, it calls for retrospection and introspection. So I am hoping that this news will continue to gain ground and the pressure will continue to mount for all the concerned authorities to come and tell the Nigerian public and come and give us facts and figures.
Talking about facts and figures, as a matter of fact, I think most times Very Dark Man always come up with videos. You know, come up with videos, has his evidences. Just in a few times when he's talking about very serious incidents, I take time to look at his evidences, and he comes out with those evidences. But then I think everything is left to the court now to go out with their investigation. And now that is even having a little touch on the judiciary itself, I think this has to be given a holistic approach.
I agree.
All right, as we try to round up, the Daily Times newspaper is where we are on, and the big story says the Nigerian army dismisses female soldier who accused senior officer of sexual harassment. Then the last headlines from the Daily Times newspaper said, why Justice Binta Nyako withdrew from Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Well, that has been catching attention, and a lot of people would want to know why that has actually happened. Then, well, you are an expert, you are a lawyer. Withdrawing from that case, does it have any significance, or you feel it's normal to just withdraw out of a case like that, or there are certain things that could lead to such withdrawal?
Yes, what happened in the court yesterday was what is obtainable in law, actually. So if a defendant, you know, the Constitution, as part of your fundamental right, you have the right to prepare for your defense, you have the right to be given the adequate time and facility to prepare for your defense. If in your own opinion you feel that you have not been given that time and facility to prepare for your trial, it is your fundamental right to seek for more time. It is your fundamental right to ask for that facility. And so what happened in court was that there were pending appeals, and there are pending orders of the Supreme Court that the court has not complied with. And so Nnamdi Kanu, during the trial, abruptly came up and said he wanted to talk, and he asked the lawyer to yield the ground for him. And he spoke, informing the court that he no longer has confidence. Court. As soon as a litigant or a party or a lawyer expresses a concern and that indicts or that goes to the credibility or that goes to the ability of that court to try that case, the right thing to do in law will be for such judge to recuse him or herself from the trial. And I mean, going forward from there, there's no how tensions will not be, the tensions will, sensationalisms will have arisen, and tensions will be high. A litigant is telling the judge that I don't believe that I can get justice from you. I don't believe that I can, this court, I don't have confidence in this court. And my Lord, Honorable Justice Binta Nyako, honorably and to inform the court that she is going to recuse herself, so that she's minded to recuse herself despite the opposition from the other side of the aisle. And I think it's very good, and I think it's something that is good for our democracy, and it's something that is good for fundamental human rights, and it's something that is good for the judiciary. And this is also a lesson to Nigerian and the common men and the laymen, as we say, that if for any reason you believe a judicial process is compromised, these are some of the remedies that you have as a litigant or as a party to say, I don't have confidence in this court. I don't have confidence that I'm going to get justice. And the moment that is done, the moment that allegation is done, the right thing to do will have been for you to start de novo. So what this means for Mazi is that
exactly the question I wanted to
yes,
ask.
so
what will be the next
what it is not over. What it means is that the trial will have to start de novo. It has to start afresh,
all over from the beginning again,
from another judge. So the files must have been moved from Justice Binta Nyako to the chief judge. The chief judge of the Federal High Court will have to assign the case to a new judge, and they are going to start afresh. So it is what it is. It is what it is, and it was quite an interesting news.
Mm.
Yes.
All right, it's quite an interesting news that the judgment, the case is going to start all over again, but with a different judge altogether. But did Mazi actually, did Nnamdi Kanu give any reasons why he made that statement? Because that statement in itself is indicting.
Yes, so he said, according to him, he said that he knows that if government agencies refuses to obey court orders, he does not have issues with it. But when courts refuses to obey orders, then it's a problem. Then he's going to lose confidence in that court. So apparently there is, apparently I'm not so sure, he alleges that there's a Supreme Court order that said that he should not be tried and that the trial should be put on hold. But the court is yet to comply with that order, and that was the basis and the genesis of his outbursts. I'll call it outbursts, but I'll call it outbursts. That was the basis of his outburst in court, where he now told the court that he lost confidence and that the judge should recuse herself, which she did.
All right, this is still Global Morning, and it has been the newspaper review segment of the program. Thank you very much. This is going to be the size of the newspaper review and analysis this morning, and of course it has been a very wonderful time with my guest right here in the studio. And I want us to know that as it is right now, so many things are happening in the nation, so many people are asking questions, and so many confusion everywhere. But what you need to do as a Nigerian is not to take laws into your hands. And I know Esquire will also want to say that too, that it is not necessary to take laws into our hands as Nigerians. Secret dress, if you have any issue, if you want to carry out anything, make sure it's within the confine of the law. And as a matter of fact, a sensitive government should always, like in almost all the papers this morning, the Senate president has come out to say he is feeling what the people are feeling. He talking about Godswill, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio. He has been saying, well, I am feeling what Nigerians are feeling, meaning the government is being sensitive. But as it is right now, Nigerians are waiting when they can, for the time that they can go to the market like it has been with 5,000 naira and return back with a cellophane filled with food items. Well, on a final note, what would you have to say to Nigerians in a time like this in just 1 minute?
We have actually said it all. Let us continue to hold on to hope. Let us continue to tidy our own corners in anticipation that the country will get better. Let us not take laws into our own hands, and don't forget that ignorance of law is not an excuse. If there are any gray areas, always seek advice, seek information, ask questions. When you see something, say something. Thank you.
When you see something, say something. Don't keep quiet and don't go behind and make noise and come up with instigations on social media and make things go haywire, giving it a different picture. Nigeria is still our nation. Nigeria is still our country, and it is our responsibility as citizens to rebuild this nation, making it what we really want it to be. Thank you very much, Esquire Abdulaziz, for coming around on the program today. We hope to have you some other time. And Global Morning still continue on Global Television as we get to the next segment, which is going to be the discussion segment with Edik and Michael. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bonds, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Abadi thanks everyone for staying with us on the morning show. A concern about the resumption of the Senate has continued to be on the front pages of the papers as to the a whole lot of responsibilities are awaiting the Senate, and also for the fact that the confirmation of the Chief Justice of Nigeria is also a major concern as long as the judiciary is involved. So we'll be joined this morning by a legal practitioner and human rights lawyer, Maxwell Obayo, joining us virtually this morning from the courtroom to give us a perspective to the issue of Nnamdi Kanu's case, an update on that, and also looking at all the pending issues in the court. So we'll be joined very shortly on the course of the program. But Ramsey, the back and forth of how the judiciary can be independent is a major concern in the country. We have three tiers of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. There are those that are accused the National Assembly for always at all time, doing the bid of the National Assembly, doing the bid of the executive. And those that will tell you the judiciary are also getting involved in corruption. So it's getting worse because the institution of the country, is at stake. And the moment where our institution is getting this bad every day, it's a major problem. So when we look at all of these cases in the country, and you understand that it's about the independency, it's about some of these institutions standing by themselves, doing their own, and the principle of checks and balances being adhered to completely. So it's a big issue in the country, and we cannot exhaust this conversation.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's a big issue, but then I think the judiciary, it's so good that new officials are coming in, the swearing in of Kekere, everything about Kekere will be happening. But then I think the level at which we are right now, I can categorically say that the judiciary have a lot to do. So much to do, because this is judiciary we're talking about here. Before now, Nigerians will tell you the last hope of the common man is the judiciary. But how many Nigerians now have confidence in the judiciary? That calls for a whole lot. In a country like Nigeria, if someone will stand in the court of law to say categorically that he does not believe in the judiciary anymore, you know what it means?
It's a big issue.
It's a big issue.
So where can people now seek, redress? Where can people run to for justice? Because I know the society is built on the premise of justice. At the moment where humans cannot begin to access justice is becoming so scary, and it's a problem.
Not like you can't seek redress in the court of law. You can actually do that, but then. The thing is, some persons have compromised the process, not all. You can't categorically say everyone in the judicial system is the same. But then, I think what the system should be looking at, I asked someone a question, a barrister a question on my program some times ago, and I was asking, don't they have body? What is NBA doing? And he said, apart from NBA, there is even a committee that looks into this issue. There is a higher body that looks into all these allegations coming from, okay, he has collected something. Look at the case of EFCC, where it has been alleged that EFCC, it's alleged, it has not been proven until the court says otherwise. We cannot really say it is true, but then it has been alleged that a certain amount of money was collected from the cross-dresser, talking about Bobrisky. And evidences are coming up, even though Bobrisky have come to deny it.
EFCC have even, brought out a press statement, is setting up an investigative committee to begin to look at that. So it looks, because a very dark man can't just come out with that kind of allegations, on the EFCC, because it's also indicting, the institutions of, financial institutions like EFCC that probably have been doing their work in terms of coping corruption in the country. But the question is, why people are sometimes always having these big issues. You can't be going after Mr. A and leaving Mr. B. If you are confronting, issues of corruption, let it be that everyone has still tackled with. Issues of Yaya Bello of Kogi State has also been a major concern. Issues of people, having their way and getting their way and all of that is a concern. So, in a way, people are saying and insisting that there's a need for, the law not just to be made for the rich, but the law, it should also be implemented on the poor. But the law should also be an equal, should bring everyone to equality, that when you have disobeyed or you go against the law, it takes a cost, it takes full cost. So we can't really be exhausting the fact that some persons are above the law. We've seen people breaking the laws of the traffic lights, and sometimes when they are stopped by the federal safety corps, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
That's the language of.
Do you know who I am? So who are you? Are you above the law?
Well, some Nigerians feel they are above the law, and that's because in the past they may have done some things and gone free with it. There is this belief, which I don't really subscribe to, that some Nigerians are bigger than the others when it comes to the law, when it comes to the maybe cases. Some persons may do certain things and go away with it, but if you try it, you will go in for it. You said something very vital. You said the system should not pick on Mr. A and forget about Mr. B. You said something like that, which is very vital. Do you know that at a point in this country, Nigerians were already thinking that the EFCC was being used, or allegedly, was allegedly being used. And Nigerians, the way they shine their eyes. The bottom line is this. The judicial system should do everything possible to clean its name from whatever Nigerians are thinking, because it's very important. We're talking about the issue of Bobrisky right just now. There was even an allegation that he never went to the correctional center, that he was in an apartment somewhere special. So it means after the judgment, there was no follow-up from the courts to make sure this judgment is being carried out to the latter. So in a way, this thing is touching on almost everyone, all the segments, EFCC, the correctional center, then you talk about the judiciary. So I think this is something that needs to be looked into, especially we're talking about the judicial system. This is something that the judiciary shouldn't take lightly. Remember, senior judicial officers, the first thing they said, when the Chief Justice was Chief Judge was appointed, is sanitizing the system, because they themselves they knew that there are some things to be corrected. There are some anomalies that need to be fixed, and all of that put together will make Nigerians not to even seek redress, because a lot of people don't even go to court anymore. They prefer to go to traditional rulers, heads, and all of that to just say, come, what is happening? Maybe somebody that you respect, that they know if this person call you to order, you answer. That's where some people go to right now, because some people believe that even if we go to court, we have the money to follow the case up, because you need to pick a lawyer, and you don't pick this lawyer by mere invitation. You need to put something on ground for you to do that. So all this put together is part of the reason why some Nigerians are no longer having confidence in the judiciary. Not that the judiciary is not doing its job, but then what about some persons in the judiciary? I've asked a question somewhere. I asked a barrister on one of my programs, why is it that these things happen and the judges keep quiet over it? And he said something like, sometimes these allegations, does not really have anything to do with the judges, but then maybe someone who is working with a judge has collected something from somebody, and the person is saying court, and people generalize because they feel everyone working in the court is a lawyer. That's what a lot of people believe. But they don't know that there are some other persons who are not really lawyers, but working in the court and could even deceive people to collect money. So these are the kind of things that the judiciary needs to do. Sanitizing the system should be all round, from the judicial officers down to everyone who works in the court of law, so that whatever happens will not rub on the judiciary, because at the end of the day, people will say it is the judiciary.
All right, a whole lot of concern. Let's now get to the court to be joined by human rights lawyer and an advocate of good governance in the country, Barrister Maxwell. Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning on the program.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, Mr. Oba, if you can hear us, quickly react to the move yesterday from the court. We saw you, and of course, I think you are in the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu. Give us some perspective to the outcome of yesterday's sitting.
Okay, I think you can hear me now. Can you hear me?
If you can hear me, please do well to remove the earpiece. Probably is obstructing the audio, please.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can use the speakers. Put it on speakers.
Hello.
All right, Mr. Oba, if you can hear us, quickly react to yesterday. We saw the outing with Nnamdi Kanu. So the back and forth issue, give us an understanding about the situation of the case, because we saw the justice saying, I'm dropping the case file and all of that. Mr. Oba, your earpiece you're using probably is obstructing the audio. If you can please help us remove that.
Barrister, please can you remove the earpiece so that you can put it on speaker, probably, if it's not noisy where you are. We can see that you are somewhere. I think he's somewhere, he's on the move, but as passionate as he is, he's ready to add his voice to the conversation today.
All right, very shortly we'll be, of course, be joined by him because we just have to get a clearer perspective to that concern. But let's go on a quick break, and once we return from the break, the conversation continues.
Hello. Hello.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Thanks so much for joining us on the program. We'll be joined by human rights lawyer, Ms. Maxwell Opara, joins us from the court this morning. Thanks so much, Mr. Opara. Give us an understanding about the back and forth with Nnamdi Kanu. We saw the outing yesterday. The judge seems to drop the file, and Nnamdi reacted. What is his position, and what does the law really say about the situation right now?
I think you can hear me now.
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Now, thank you once again for having me. It's my pleasure to be here once again. Actually, is the Nnamdi Kanu's matter that went on yesterday. You know, in any criminal matter, the end point of every matter in court is confidence, and once the accused or the defendant or the party question the independence of the judge, so the judge has no option than to recuse himself. Nnamdi Kanu questioned. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Please go ahead, Mr. Opara.
Okay. So Nnamdi Kanu asked the judge to recuse herself from the matter based on the reason that the judge is not giving him a fair hearing. He will not get fair trial in the court. He marshaled out the reasons behind that, which everybody saw that is a very cogent reason. Nnamdi Kanu, the matter went to Supreme Court. When Court of Appeal quashed all the whole charges and asked that Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. The DSSS and the federal government refused to obey that Court of Appeal judgment until after 8 days. On the 9th day, they now file a motion for stay of execution. The same Court of Appeal now still grant that motion for stay of execution. And this is the first of its kind in the history of Nigerian jurisprudence. Then that one, as if that one is not enough, we went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court now condemned the act of federal government. One, the act of using Operation Python Dance to invade his house and kill many persons. The act of that Nnamdi Kanu never jumped bail, that court shouldn't have revoked his bail. So and all that, and Nnamdi Kanu was extra renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria. That is to say, he was unlawfully brought from Kenya to Nigeria. So now, based on that, but he said that the court has a right to commence his trial. So in other words, we now apply that based on that Supreme Court judgment, court should reinstate his bail. The judge refused. Court should grant him bail. The court refused. Court should allow him to be in a safe custody. The court refused. His health, court refused. Rather, court ordered that DSSS should allow us unhindered access. Then we said, okay. Now we continued. The DSSS flattered the court orders. They refused us free access. They refused us, they intimidated us, they violate our rights to an extent that I have to take DSSS to court in that regard. And the court saw my reasons and granted my reliefs and ordered DSSS to pay me 5 million naira and tendered apology. The DSSS refused. Now we have not prepared Nnamdi Kanu for the trial because under the Constitution section 36 said that anybody who is facing criminal trial need adequate time and facility. But all the judgment and the decision on the order of the court, the DSSS flouted it. We find it difficult to prepare him. Anytime we are going there with a confidential document that we want to use to prepare him for trial, which you don't want the defense to know, they will collect it from us. So, and that is not trial. So we complain. We filed from 48, filed from 49 against the director of the DSSS. The court refused to hear. Rather, the court was insisting that Nnamdi Kanu should go into trial, as if he's acting a script. So based on the combined effect of all this, Nnamdi Kanu now said, no, there is no way. From what I'm seeing, it's like this woman is acting, the judge is acting a script for somebody. So he said that please excuse yourself. And the judge did the needful and hands off. That was what actually happened.
The persistent detention of Nnamdi probably gives some signal that probably federal government have some information that they at their disposal in respect to the unrest at the south. I mean, in the southeastern part of this country, we've seen that Biafra is still on the rise. Federal government are not taking it very badly. Don't you feel that, or do you, from your own perspective, the releasing Nnamdi Kanu will put to rest the agitation of the people of Southeast?
To start with, you don't need to have a law degree for you to know that the right of self-determination is your right. As you are in the studio now, you may decide to agitate and ask that you want to sit away from Nigeria. It's your right. The only thing there is that there are some requirements. You continue with your movement, you continue with your campaign. If you're able to convince some persons and they agree with you and you meet the requirement, you should be severed, for Christ's sake. Many people have many states have severed from their own original country and become an independent state. So if Nnamdi Kanu is agitating for Biafra, Federal Republic of Biafra, and is agitating and is mobilizing, and you know what gave rise to that, and you failed to address those issues, and he was able to convince some persons, and they followed him. He has a right. It is his right. You cannot stop him. It's a constitutional right. Both our local constitution and the African Charter on Human Rights and United Nations Charter, they gave him that right. So you cannot stop him. He is a right of self-determination. The only thing there is that you follow it up. So trying to cage him, trying to intimidate him, trying to stop him from doing that, you are just wasting your time. Because without Nnamdi Kanu, there are some other persons that are also agitating. They are agitating. So the only thing there is that the federal government, I thought that what the federal government would have done is that to address all those issues that gave rise to the agitation, all this issue of bad governance, all this issue of marginalization, all this issue of, you know them, you address them, then the issue of agitation will be a thing of the past. But you cannot stop people. You see what is happening, just like what you said, what is happening in the Southeast, whether you like it or not, an average 80%, if not 90% of people from the Southeast are tired of Nigeria. That is the painful and naked truth you need to know. Forget about what anybody is pretending. I hear them saying. So it is now left for the government to address the issue. Just like where you have children, and one of their children said that I want to leave this house. I want to be on my own. As a responsible father, what you're supposed to know is that what is that I'm doing that this man now is not seeing this my house as is not seeing himself as a part of the house. You address all those issues, not to go and get that your son and beat him up and detain him. You don't do that. It is unlawful. It is against the law. So that is just it. And you cannot call yourself a president where some section or some region or in your country are unrest. You are not a good president. You are not leading well. Southeast is part of Nigeria, which you are ruling. And every Monday, people sit at home. Anytime Nnamdi Kanu is going to court, people sit at home. There are killings and this and that. Why not address it so that everybody will be happy? Are you really only in Aso Rock? Are you a president of Southwest? Are you a president of Yoruba Nation?
All right, Barrister, as it is right now, thank you, Barrister Maxwell. Let me say something. You talked about the fact that the president is allowing a part of the country to be unrest, that there is an unrest in a particular part of the country and the president is not concerned. But the unrest in Nigeria, we also have the people in the north facing different things. But talking about the southeast, where these things are happening, where there is a sit at home every Monday and the people begin to kill themselves, as the case may be, or maybe brutal activities that are inhuman being melted to themselves because of someone going to court or whatever. Do you see that as a welcome development? Then secondly, now that Nnamdi Kanu does not have confidence in the judge anymore, and the case maybe will get to the chief judge then reassigned for it to start all over again, do you see that as a plus or a setback for Nnamdi Kanu?
My brother, yes, to start with, personally, I'm from Southeast. I have my business in the Southeast, my company in the Southeast, and the thing is also telling on me. Are you good to what I'm saying? So, and nobody will be happy that his house is on fire, except you are not an irresponsible human being. Nobody will be happy that you are having unrest in your family. So nobody is happy. But the only thing there is that now that it is like this, a way forward everything, if the country is achieving, if the country is making progress, the one person that will take the glory is the president. If the country is having problem, the person that will take the blame is the president. He needs to solve his problem. The Southeast leaders has met him and said, please release this man. The senators have met him. The House of Rep members has met him. Many people, David Clark, people that are meant well for this country have said, release this man. Allow him to agitate. Forget about, address all those issues that give the rise to the agitation. They told you, of course, you know that Buhari did not come to rule the country. Buhari came to destroy the country, and he succeeded in destroying the country, and he left. Now that you say that you came for a renewed agenda, one of the agenda you should have come is to bring everybody. Nigeria is now divided among ethnic, religious, and tribal sentiments. So as a leader, you should have just started by uniting us, releasing Nnamdi Kanu, then ask him to give you time. All those things that gave rise to this agitation, you are going to address it. Then that one is one. Then look at all those issues that gave rise to this marginalization. Go to CBN, the Yorubas have dominated. Go to NNPC, the Yorubas has dominated. Go to every sectors of the country, just like what Buhari did when Buhari was the president. Now the House of Fulani man came. He divided the country. Now you have come. You have started the same thing that Buhari did. Now the country is being divided. That is not the way. Then secondly, on the issue of the case being reassigned, of course, generally, to be fair to tell you the truth, I'm his lawyer. Nnamdi Kanu told me that he has lost confidence in Nigerian judiciary based on what happened in Court of Appeal. How he was discharged and acquitted, they refused to release him. And the Court of Appeal, the same Court of Appeal that ordered that he has no case to answer, still gave these people. So Nnamdi Kanu believed that judiciary of Nigeria is being manipulated by the executive, that they are not independent. That is what he believed. But on the issue why he applied that Bita Nyako should do this, he believed that probably he will get a judge that will be independent to look at his matter. Because if you look at his matter, look at the proof of evidence, you discover that Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer. What is his case? That is somebody is making an announcement that he want Nigeria and want to have a referendum to have a federal republic of Nigeria. You said that he's a terrorist. Is that what you're coming to say? There is no case, of course. People have looked at it. Many courts have looked at it, but they refused. So that is the position. So Nnamdi Kanu, you cannot say the motto. So you know that the 911 is coming and it's going to kill you. You stay there. No, you must run. So that is what he did. He has raised alarm that my Lord, look at this. Look at. Based on this, will I say that you say you are independent in this matter? You are fair to me, my Lord. You are not fair to me. Please. Let another person handle it. That is what he did. And we believe that the CJ will look at a judge that can handle the matter. If we will go to that court and then Nnamdi Kanu discover that the same judge will not give him fair hearing, he will say, raise alarm until you get somebody. When you are handling a matter, you are a judge that you are independent. People will know. People will know because it is an open, the document you are filing, everything is a public document. So that is the position, my brother.
Lawyer, thanks so much for joining us even from the courtroom this morning on the program.
It's my pleasure. Sorry, I got the information very late.
All right, that's where we can actually have it with Maxwell. We do hope that you'll be here in the studio for proper and wider conversation regarding that state. Just as we heard clearly stating, when someone is actually seeking for redress or you find some allegations against an individual, it ought to be followed by the law. We've seen several interpretations from the judgment from the courtroom, and are those that are insisting that there are no proper obedience to what the court has really said. So the back and forth issue probably may be a signal that federal government has some information more than what we know. So, but should the law, be disrespected on the grounds of information that federal government have? That's a question.
Well, disrespecting the law, like we know, nobody's above the law. So whatever that happens, I think the law is powerful than every other individual, despite the fact that some persons have immunity. Notwithstanding, the law is the law. Whoever contravenes the law, at least justice should be allowed to take its place, irrespective of who the person is. And for Nnamdi Kanu to say he no longer has confidence in the judge, I think, it's part of his right, and the needful will be done. But then, if he's ready to get the case started over and over and over again as many times as possible, like Barrister Okpala has said, good and fine. I think everything is within his own jurisdiction and how he wants it to go. And the kind of counsel he's getting from the lawyers in charge of his case. But then, the law is superior to every other person in this country.
The struggle for a better Nigeria is a responsibility for all of us, so we should all strive to do the good as little as we can in respect to getting Nigeria working again. Away from the responsibility of government, individuals, citizens also have a role to play in getting the Nigeria of a dream. Everyone should do their bit. The Senate must be up and doing in their responsibility. The executive must also be doing their bit, and also the eyes on the judiciary on getting things right in the country is also a concern. As individuals, citizens of this country, we have a whole lot to do in respect to getting the Nigeria of a dream. And as always, we wish Nigeria will always succeed. That's the size of the morning show on Global Television. Thanks so much for joining us, and it was a ride with my colleague.
Thank you very much, Michael. It's a very wonderful one today, and it's so good that this program has come to an end. But don't forget that so many other programs are lined up for you on Global Television, so stay on the channel.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted.
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said